This content is for educational and informational purposes only and is not medical advice, a diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider for a personal medical decision.
Welcome to Let's Talk Holistic Hope. I'm your host, Rachelle Wilson, a naturopath and wellness expert. And on this show, we get to the root of chronic illness and nagging symptoms with an enlightening mix of functional medicine, biblical wisdom, and straight-up common sense. Each week, I'll break down the mystery of your fatigue, brain fog, gut drama, weight gain, and hormone chaos, and show you simple ways to heal in body, mind, and spirit. Because God didn't design you to live stuck in survival mode. Grab your lemon water, friend. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back, friend, to Let's Talk Holistic Hope. I'm your host, Dr. Rachelle Wilson. In our last episode, we talked about how your gut isn't lying. It's speaking. We uncovered why digestion is foundational to your health and how stress shuts down the gut and why symptoms like skin issues, fatigue, and inflammation often point to something deeper happening inside. And if you're just joining us, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to that episode when you have time. It really lays the foundation for today, because today we are ready to get practical. And if you're listening while driving or folding laundry or sitting quietly because your stomach hurts again, I want you to know I see you. Most people don't wake up saying, "Today I want to fix my gut." They wake up saying, "I'm tired of feeling like this." This episode is not a full protocol. It's also not an overwhelming checklist or about doing everything at once. Think of this as your starter guide, like your on-ramp. Simple, doable steps you can begin today to start supporting your gut health in a way that honors your body, calms inflammation, and aligns with how God designed us to heal. And before we go any further, I just want to say this clearly, especially if you're tired or discouraged or overwhelmed. If you've tried everything, and I mean if you've eaten clean and taken supplements, if you've followed plans and you're still not where you want to be, this episode is for you. This is not about doing more. It's actually about doing what matters first. Because when the gut is supported, the body often begins to exhale. And when the body exhales, the soul can breathe again too. Before we can rebuild the gut, we first need to calm the fire. If your digestive system is inflamed and irritated or just overwhelmed, trying to heal while still pouring fuel on the flames simply doesn't work. And I'm not saying that with judgment. I'm saying it like a friend sitting across from you saying, "Hey, I think we might be asking your body to do something it can't do yet." And if you're listening and thinking, "Okay, well, what am I doing that's keeping the fire going?" That's a really, really good question. Let's make this simple. Some of the most common irritants I see are processed sugar and refined carbohydrates, excess caffeine or alcohol, artificial sweeteners, dyes, and additives, and highly processed foods that your body doesn't even recognize as food. And while those are physical irritants, they're not the only ones. Emotional and spiritual stressors matter too. For example, bitterness and unforgiveness, chronic worry, or living in a constant state of pressure or urgency. Those things don't just stay in your mind. They register in your body. I like to use the stove analogy. So picture this. You burn your hand on the stove. And instead of pulling your hand away, you're like, "Hold on, let me put some aloe on it," while your hand is still on the burner. That's what a lot of gut healing actually looks like. You can't heal a burn if you're still pressing your hand against the hot burner. First, you have to step back, and then you have to remove the source of the burn. Only then can the body begin its natural healing process. And this is where many people get stuck. They want to add supplements and probiotics. They'll add superfoods and protocols without first removing what's causing the irritation. That's like repainting a wall while the pipe behind it is still leaking. Your body is incredibly wise, but it cannot heal in chaos. Let me share a piece of my own story here. A few years ago, I realized that even though I wasn't eating very much, and what I was eating was very clean, I wasn't losing weight as you would think would happen if you weren't eating enough calories. In fact, I was slowly gaining weight. My hands felt tight all of the time. In fact, I felt tight, puffy, and inflamed all over. My rings were cutting off my circulation, and eventually I had to get them resized larger just to fit. I remember thinking, this doesn't make sense. I'm doing everything right. What I later discovered was that unresolved gut damage had set me up for food sensitivities. Even foods considered healthy were triggering inflammation in my body. And inflammation weighs something. When I finally did food sensitivity testing and removed those trigger foods, my body began to calm down. Within just a few months, the inflammation lifted so much that the ring that I had resized bigger actually started falling off, and I had to get it sized back down again. That experience taught me something that I never forgot. Healing doesn't come from eating healthy on paper. It comes from identifying and removing what's harming your unique body in the current season that you're in. Sometimes what looks good is not good right now. And that's not a setback, that's wisdom. Removal creates safety, and safety is what allows healing to begin. And I want to pause here for just a second, because for some of you, the idea of removing things doesn't feel simple. It feels emotional. Food has often been comfort for some of you. Coffee has been survival to get through the day. Sugar has been relief. So when we talk about removing irritants, it's not just physical. It can feel like we're asking you to let go of something that helped you cope. If that brings up resistance and sadness, or even frustration, that doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that your body has been trying to protect you the best way that it knew how. Healing doesn't begin with force. It begins with compassion. So once we begin removing irritants, many people expect everything to improve right away. But often, it doesn't. And that's where discouragement can creep in because they've removed the irritants, but they don't feel better yet. And I want you to hear this clearly. Healing often has a lag time. You didn't get that way overnight, and you're not going to heal overnight. The body doesn't instantly respond to change because it's cautious. It's been inflamed and overwhelmed or hurt for a very long time, and it needs consistency before it believes it's safe. Think of it like calming a child who's been crying for hours. You don't say, "I'm here now, stop crying." You stay and you remain steady. And your body responds the same way. It heals when it trusts that the change is real, not temporary. You might be thinking, I've cleaned up my diet, so why do I still feel inflamed? Here's the part most people don't realize. For many, there are hidden obstacles keeping the gut stuck. Things like parasites, yeast, or imbalanced bacteria. And before that thought feels overwhelming, let me normalize this. These issues are far more common than most people think. Your gut is home to trillions of microorganisms, both good and bad. When that balance shifts, your whole system feels it. Your energy drops, inflammation lingers, and digestion feels unpredictable. These imbalances don't mean you did something wrong. They can come from years ago. Contaminated food or water, travel, pets, or even stress that weakened your gut's defenses over time. This is why functional testing, like a stool analysis, can be so very helpful. It doesn't guess. It just shows us what's happening inside that walking tube that we talked about last episode. Digestion, inflammation, immune response, and microbial balance. And here's the good news. When we identify and clear what doesn't belong there, the body often responds so beautifully. Healing becomes possible again. So we clear and then we rebuild. Now, before I list foods or supplements, I want to pause here for just a second. Healing doesn't start when you do everything perfectly. It starts when your body finally feels safe enough to receive nourishment. So what do we add back in? Foods first. This looks like real, whole, colorful foods. Fiber-rich vegetables that feed good bacteria. Fermented foods if tolerated. Bone broth to soothe and support the gut lining. Healthy fats that help repair and rebuild. Then we address rhythms like chewing slowly, sitting down to eat, resting your body before meals, and praying over your food. Giving thanks not as a ritual, but as a signal of safety. And sometimes supplements are helpful, not as a crutch, but as support. We can also add probiotics to restore balance, digestive enzymes when the gut needs help breaking food down. There are nutrients like zinc or L-glutamine to support the gut lining as it heals. But remember, this isn't about perfection, and it's definitely not about extremes. Healing happens when nourishment becomes consistent, not when it becomes intense. Psalm 34:8 says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." God designed food to nourish and heal, not to create fear, rules, or pressure. So let's talk about stress and the digestion reset. You can eat the cleanest diet in the world and still struggle if your body is stuck in fight or flight mode. When your nervous system senses danger, digestion actually shuts down, not because your body is broken, but because it's prioritizing survival. So what I mean by this is when your body senses danger, blood flow actually shifts away from digestion and toward survival. Your stomach acid decreases. Your enzymes slow down, not because something's wrong, but because your body's preparing to run or fight by diverting that energy to your muscles and your heart. So if you're eating in a rushed, anxious, or tense state, your body literally cannot digest the food well, even if it's healthy. This is why calm is not optional in healing. It's absolutely foundational. Our modern tigers, quote unquote, are deadlines, financial pressure, family tension, and constant stimulation. So let's pause together. If this feels awkward, that's okay. Healing often begins with slowing down enough to notice. So here's what I want you to do. Place one hand on your belly. Then inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Now exhale slowly through your mouth for 6. This simple practice before meals tells your body, we are safe. Psalm 46:10 reminds us, be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not just good for your soul, it's medicine for your body too. So what I want you to know is that healing doesn't come from quick fixes. That's not the way that God's creation works. It comes from daily rhythms. It's the small choices that are repeated consistently. So a simple day might look something like this. In the morning, you have your water, your prayer, or your journaling. At meals, you actually sit down and you really focus on chewing and you give thanks for your meal. In the evening, you try to avoid late night snacking. You release the day to God and you try to focus on relaxing activities. So some days you'll do this beautifully and other days you won't. And some days this looks like 5 deep breaths and reheating leftovers, and that's still okay, and that still counts. There are days where this looks beautiful, and there are days where it looks like eating later than planned and forgetting to pray over your meal and realizing halfway through that you're very tense. And instead of quitting, you pause. You just take one breath, and you thank God right there. That's still healing. Because restoration doesn't come from doing everything right. It comes from returning. Grace belongs in healing too. Restoration begins when we come back, not when we pretend it never happened. Healing isn't a formula, it's a relationship. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, please hear this. You don't have to do it all. Just start with one simple step. For example, remove one irritant, or add one nourishing habit, or try to create one moment of peace. Remember, this is your on-ramp, not to perfection, but to healing. Your body is not broken, and your symptoms are not failures. They are signals, and God often uses them to invite us back into alignment. Healing is an invitation back to wholeness and restoration. Throughout Scripture, we see God inviting His people back, not condemning them for drifting. Symptoms are often that same invitation, not to shame us, but to realign us. And in our next episode, we're going to build on everything that we talked about today. Because for so many of you, gut issues don't stop at digestion. They show up as fatigue and mood swings, and maybe brain fog or weight gain, even hot flashes or cycles that suddenly feel unpredictable. And maybe you've been told, that's just part of getting older. Well, my friend, it's not just aging. We're going to talk about hormonal chaos, how gut health and inflammation and even chronic stress disrupt your hormones, and what your body is really trying to tell you. If you've ever felt like your body is working against you, that conversation is for you. And before we wrap up, I want to let you know about something that I created just for you. If today's episode felt helpful, but you're thinking, I don't want to forget this, I've put together a free gut healing starter guide to go along with this episode. It's simple, it's practical, and it's always going to be faith-centered. A gentle roadmap to help you remember what to remove, what to add, and how to build daily rhythms that support healing without overwhelm. You can download it for free and use it as a starting point, not as a rule book. Let's be clear, just a guide to walk this out at your own pace. As you end this episode, I want you to take a quiet moment and ask, God, what one small step can I begin this week to support healing in my gut and peace in my body? Write it down, then pray over it, and invite Him into that step. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love for you to subscribe to the show. Leave a review so others can find hope too. Share this episode with someone who needs a simple starting point for gut healing. And don't forget, you can download the free gut healing starter guide linked in the show notes to support what we talked about today. You can connect with me anytime at www.therenewedhope.com or on social media through Instagram and Facebook at Let's Talk Holistic Hope Podcast. Check the show notes for email contact information. Until next time, keep choosing hope, keep trusting Jesus, and keep healing from the inside out. Ooh, that was good. Thanks for hanging with me today. If this episode brought you clarity or hope, would you do me a quick favor? Take 30 seconds to share it with a friend. Leave a 5-star rating or write a short review. It helps this show reach more people who need real answers too. Want to keep the conversation going? Come hang out with me on Facebook at Renewed Hope Holistic Health. The link's in the show notes. Or better yet, let's talk. Book a free 15-minute discovery call and let's see how I can support your health journey, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Until next time, keep your faith strong, your gut happy, and your hope holistic.